No idea. Oh, we're live. So ready. Are you ready, Mike? Ready for the big pod?
Huge pod. So much news,
Mm-hmm.
updates.
At this point, you can't even run from you gotta lean into it almost. You either gotta lean in or lean out, I guess. I don't even know what that means.
I'm leaning out.
You've been leaning out for a while.
That's right. It's a dance move that I like.
Yep.
And it's the way that my body goes. It's an off-season lean out.
I was thinking before we get started, you mentioned in the last pod in that jigsaw, and I understood what the other option was. So it wasn't like it was an easy option, but you chose the randomly shit out your mouth option. And I thought about how horrible it feels when you throw up. And I just can't imagine that shitting out your mouth tastes like is any better. And it would be 2 or 3 times a week. Ugh. I might not mind having people think I'm a sex offender if I'm not really a sex offender.
No, give me the shit.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook and use promo code RTRS. And brought to you by By Nature Pet Foods, home of the Soft Shit Award, slow cooked with Superfusion. Use code 20 RTRS at Chewy or Amazon for $20 off. No, 20% off your first order. Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of The Process, processrealtor.com, and Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter. Get your vodka and vodka sodas at statesidevodka.com. On the show today, there's a former all-star point guard, number 1 pick, who wants out of his current team. Will the Sixers go get him? We will talk about that. Before we get going, happy birthday to Tyler. Tyler's, I say lovely. I assume she's lovely. She's doing this for Tyler. Girlfriend Samantha emailed us. They moved to North Carolina. Tyler subjects her to the podcast while they are in the car all the time. And she wanted to make sure that we wished him a happy 25th birthday. Happy birthday, Tyler. And also another shout out. A good friend of mine, another huge Ricky fan, is getting deployed to Niger in a few weeks. His name is Deacon Lyle. He's a surgeon in the Air Force. He's stationed out in St. Louis with his wife right now, and listening to the pod is always part of staying part of the Philly community while they're away. If there's any way you'd be able to give him a super quick shout out, wish him luck during the episode, you'd really get a kick out of it. Good luck in Niger. Thank you for all you do, Deacon Lyle. We appreciate it. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with another guy who should have been selected before Evan Turner. That is Mike Levin.
I think the first thing we have to talk about is not on the rundown. It's very important.
I love the surprise.
Yes.
The surprise being that you looked at the rundown. So that's
I always look
amazing.
at the rundown. I see it.
Okay.
I always have it up.
Okay. All right. So, so what are we talking about?
Well, the most important thing that's happened lately is that Keith Pompey managed to make himself the main character of 9/11. And I thought that was such a delight. Keith has always been very nice to me. I like Keith a lot. It's just a back-to-back 1-2 combination of one of the funnier things to happen. The DirecTV thing has gotten more play, which is a fun ad read that Keith did.
Oh, but that, yeah, I mean, yes, it was so bad.
That's picked up more places. I think the alarms, setting an alarm for each plane that crashed and then posting that is arguably more confusing to me.
Well, let get it right, Mike. He didn't just set an alarm for every plane that crashed during 9/11. He set an alarm for every plane that crashed, and when the buildings collapsed, because there are 6 of them. So, so and he set alarms for them, and he labeled them so he wouldn't be confused when on September 11th 6 alarms went off within 15 minutes. Or 35 minutes.
I love it. It's remarkable. I think it's great. The DirecTV thing I think is just solid transition. No issues.
Well,
perfectly fine with it. Whatever you got to do. And he's got that very sweet voice that always makes it funnier. But the alarms, that's a jigsaw for you. Which one would you rather do by mistake? And the alarms is baffling. I love it. I'm so happy about it. I'm so glad it happened. Now 9/11 is no longer what happened until 2001. It is now
what happened
in 2021 when Keith did those things back to back. I think just excellent stuff.
It would be so horribly insulting if he wasn't who he was, and obviously just have no idea how absurd it looked. There's no way. There's somebody out there who thinks, oh, he's just like gaming us. He knows what he's doing. He has no idea. He has no idea. What is he supposed? Are we supposed to believe that he has these alarms set annually, or like it was performative, right?
Yes, it was performative. I don't know what the intent was, but I love it. I think I like when people tweet through it, and I also like when people don't say anything about it. And he did not, to my mind, say anything about it. At least what I saw.
He must.
I'm delighted by it. I'm delighted by the whole thing. I'm so glad it happened.
He must not read his replies because he gets mad when you say bad things about him. He gets very mad, and he must just not read his replies. He must be just so structured in his life that I can't believe it.
I don't know. I just want to say thank you. That's all. Thank you. And I will never forget when this happened.
I feel like,
main character Keith. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
All right,
definitely back to the rundown.
Yeah, definitely main character. I didn't know you were going to bring that up. Of course, it happened several days ago, but yeah, definitely worth a mention. Definitely worth a mention. Never forget. September 11th, 2021. So, John Wall, once out of Houston. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but as a precursor to this, our very own Rick Bucher, he of Liking the Knicks Process.
Oh, that's right.
Did a podcast before the news about John Wall came out. That was basically I love when I listen to people on podcasts do an extended tease of something, as if I can't just fast forward to find out what you're talking about. So he does a 20-minute podcast. Somebody tagged us in it. And the first 8 minutes are him just saying, I had the best Ben Simmons trade ever. This is the best Ben Simmons trade ever. And he brought up John Wall. And later that day, I think, was when the rumor came out or the report came out that the Rockets and John Wall are going to work on a place for him to play. And he will go to training camp, but this is amicable. He will not play for the team in 2021.
I like an amicable version of that.
Yeah, it's fine. And you would have to imagine eventually maybe he gets bought out, and somebody brings that up. We have some emails. We have a bunch of emails. I know I am the minority. I would be more confident heading into the playoffs with John Wall than Ben Simmons on the Sixers. I don't think you can make that trade, obviously, straight up, but I would not have a problem with taking a shot on John Wall. He's only got 2 years left. So he becomes an expiring after this year. I don't know. I only watched him play 2 games last year. I thought he looked pretty good. I've always liked John Wall. He's not a good shooter, but he does shoot. He's not horrible. I don't know. Would you take a shot on 31-year-old John Wall?
So it's tough. I like John Wall. I enjoy John Wall. I root for John Wall. Injury forced him to miss almost 2 years of basketball. Came back last year and looked okay. Not to anyone's not game changing in any way, but he had a couple nice plays to make it look like, oh, this is the same guy going coast to coast. He was so fast in his prime. It was really hard to stop with the ball in his hands.
He and Derrick Rose were the two fastest players I've ever seen in their prime, I would say.
He's just the hope is, and my hope is I'm always optimistic about guys getting good again or getting good in general. Is that a year removed from the injury with a full healthy offseason, he can get some of that back because he's only 30 years old, 31. Get some of that back and have like the last 2 years of whatever prime he would have had in 2017, 2018.
And I would say, if we're going to take the positive view of this, yes, he missed 2 years with the knee injury, but those are also 2 years he didn't put on his body in terms of like basketball years.
Sure.
If I'm going to take the positive view of it,
and he was good at one point. Like he was very
amazing.
Good. It's not like he was never one of the 5 best players in the league, but he was a very good player and the kind of player that it would be cool to see playing with Joel. Contract's big, but like you said, it is expiring after next year. So my perspective trade would be a 3-team trade where Cleveland gets Simmons and Houston gets Kevin Love and Seth. We need to trade Seth to make the money work. And Cedi Osman. And the Sixers get John Wall, Daniel House, a first-round pick from the Rockets, and 2 first-round picks from Cleveland. And in that world, you get Daniel House, who's good as a fine rotational 3-and-D guy. 1 year left in his deal. And you get John Wall you get 1 year of seeing what John Wall still has left now, over a year removed from this massive injury. And if it doesn't work, then you have a huge expiring contract to then match salary with, and also 3 additional first-round picks to then try to package together for a guy that would then replace Wall or not replace Wall if he didn't work out, but then become the guy that the Sixers are looking for. I think it is a worthwhile shot in my mind.
Wow. I'm surprised that you're here.
Well, because we're talking about like if you can get John Wall in 1 pick, then I would say no. But if you can get John Wall in like either 2 really good picks or 3 or 4 fine ones, then it becomes the like that sort of half measure, right? Where this guy's not available, that what they're looking for right now. And you get, this is the sort of split the difference in a way where it's not role players. It's not just Malik Beasley and Taurean Prince or whatever, or Malcolm Brogdon and TJ Warren or whatever. It's like a guy who has all-star level talent, could get back there. And if it's not, it's also 3 or 4 or so first-round picks that they can then package for that guy. And so it is a half of it is a shot at this year being good again, seeing what happens. Wall definitely adds an element of penetration that this team doesn't have outside of Maxey. He's a really good passer. People don't give him credit. He would immediately be the best passer on the team. But also because there's only a 30% chance that John Wall becomes the 2017-2018 version of himself, maybe less.
That seems high, but
because of that, then you still have several picks to then work with and trade with and go from there. So I think it's sort of the best of both worlds a little bit in a non-ideal situation. Like no one's saying that the side situation is ideal.
I love John Wall. I used to argue that John Wall was better than Russell Westbrook all the time, and then John Wall fell apart. I can't think of a trade that would make Andrew Sharp laugh more than the Sixers trading Ben Simmons for John Wall.
Yeah, he said he would move back in with me. He'd be so excited.
Now, I have another 3-team trade that has another interesting wrinkle to it from John. I will get to it right after we talk about.
Oh, Bucher over here.
Yeah, well, but they're live people. There are people watching live. By the way, we do the Wednesday pods. We do them at night. We do them live on YouTube and Twitch. But Adam Ksebe is the official realtor of the process. If you have thought about buying a house right now, boy, it's fucking nuts out there. It's nuts. You need a good realtor. You need somebody who maybe will know about the houses before they hit the market, who can get you in there, who can get you the straight scoop when you want to know about bids. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, is your guy. You got to sell your house. You want to make sure you can get every penny out of it right now, because now's the time. You need a good realtor. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe. You need to refinance. Now's a great time to do it. Mortgage rates are super low. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe. You see, Ksebe and his team, they handle all of Delaware and Maryland.
All beaches, of Delaware
and Maryland. They're based out of Long and Foster and Bethany Beach, but if you want a beach house in Delaware, low property taxes, great time to buy, great place to buy, Maryland. But if you're in PA, New Jersey, wherever you are, and you need a realtor, like I did, or if you need to refinance like I did, you go to Ksebe and he will interview them and find a good one for you. He's got realtors all over the place. You see, the market, it's an interesting time to buy because mortgage rates are low. It's a great time to sell because the market is crazy. But either way you're doing it, you need a good realtor. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, 302-864-8643. Call or text 302-864-8643 or email adam@processrealtor.com. Okay, here was the trade. This came from John. Sixers get John Wall, Malik Beasley, Jaden McDaniels, Wolves first-round picks in 22 and 24. Rockets get Tobias Harris, Patrick Beverley, and a Sixers first. And the Wolves get Ben Simmons and Shake Milton. The plus here is that you get off the Tobias Harris contract. You add 2 first-round picks. And in addition to Wall, you add Beasley and McDaniels. I love getting off the Harris contract. The more and more I think about Tobias Harris, who his middle name is this, is a great guy and has improved, but just drives me fucking bonkers as the starting power forward on this team. I don't mind this deal. I don't mind it. I'll tell you. I like adding Beasley too. I like getting the 2 firsts. What do you think of this one?
I mean, I just think that this trade would really mean that the Sixers are not interested in contending this season. And maybe that is
unless a star becomes available.
Sure.
Because they've added 2 first-round picks in this, right?
And Jaden McDaniels, who is tradable and all that stuff. Sure. Yeah. I don't know how, because of the trouble that they've had this offseason in making a trade, for whether that's true or not. If there were trades on the table, we'll never know. But I don't know how you can go to Embiid and go like, hey, we traded the second and third best players. We got a guy who is never been in great shit, never taken great care of himself in John Wall and his body. And like Malik Beasley, who's like the 5th best player on the Wolves, who I love, but there's a 5th best player on one of the worst teams in the league, and a couple of big picks. Like, is that exciting? And like Tobias is a great guy. We love him. And also like really important to, I think, the locker room and keeping it together. And that would be just a ton of turmoil and really set the team up to fail, I think, in a way that would be upsetting to Joel. And I think that you owe it to Joel to go for it every year that he's healthy, and he's healthy.
I'll tell you what, you owe it to Joel not to go into a year with Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris as your second and third best players. That's what you owe him.
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I think we just kind of, I think we talked about this last pod, so I'm not saying you did, but I just think generally we forgot too quickly that the Sixers were the number 1 team in the East last year. And going into the playoffs, we were feeling pretty good about it. Tobias is flawed. I would like to see him as a legitimate power forward when there are other ball handlers out there, whether that's Maxey or in a John Wall trade hypothetical, like allowing him to just be the 4 and not say like, hey, it's frustrating that you're not taking enough of these shots that we want you to in a quick succession.
Yeah, but in that, not to interrupt, but in that situation, he's not like quick trigger guy. So, he doesn't have the ball. He's like one of these guys that needs the ball to be good, but if you're giving him the ball too much,
absolutely,
your team isn't good.
But that's why you'd ideally want Tobias as your third best player. I just think that there's a better lineup construction out there for Tobias than there was last year, and he had, that there's a reason why he was the guy who carried the bench when Ben and Joel sat, is because then he could be like, there's not a stuffed up paint generally as much for him out there, because he can get to the basket and he doesn't get fouled enough, he doesn't seek out contact enough, but he can get it. He was the best guy on the team for the longest stretch of the season into the playoffs of like getting his own shot and stopping the bleeding when he needed it and stuff. I don't hate Tobias as much as some people do, and I'm also not like rallying behind Tobias forever because he is certainly a flawed player.
Tobias centrist.
Tobias centrist also. I am Joe Manchin in Tobias land. Just me on a houseboat saying things cost too much and not really pitching solutions. That's my role here. And everybody likes it. That's why people like me so much. That's it.
So James sent an email, and I don't know if this is likely, especially with how much time he has left, but maybe since they're tanking, I don't know. He says, I was listening to the usual national sports media hacks talk today about how the Sixers should pursue John Wall. Naturally, I was appalled by this idea, as it would mean replacing Simmons with another poor shooting point guard, although more willing to shoot.
Yeah.
Though then I started thinking about, in the event of a John Wall buyout plus a C+ Ben trade, we could roll out a starting 5 of Wall, McCollum, Danny, Tobias, and Embiid, which would have to be the most talented 5-man lineup outside of the Nets. Would you pick that team over last year's Sixers, keeping in mind that this year's starting lineup would project to shoot 27.8 threes compared to last year's 18.6, even when moving Seth to the bench? That would be an interesting team.
Yeah, I mean, that's a several big assumptions. One, that John Wall accepts a buyout when it's been reported that he wouldn't. Obviously, this could change 100%, but the reporting is that he wouldn't accept a buyout. And if a trade doesn't happen during the season, then maybe next year he'll accept a buyout. But he's happy to collect $44 million to hang out and talk to some young kids in Houston for a while, which I don't blame him for at all. And the assumption is also that he would want to sign here after a buyout happens. So maybe that's an interesting team. I think Wall can be a good defensive player and hasn't been a lot of the time, but certainly can be. CJ, then the lifting load on CJ to be like your number one guy isn't as high. Tobias is still there to do his Tobias stuff. Danny in the middle, gluing everything together. And Joel, it's a good team. That'd be a good team. I think tough for that reality to present itself, but it's a good team.
I want to say that I would do something extreme and funny if John Wall becomes a Sixer, but I can't think of what it is. So I'll keep on thinking about that. We got, the last pod we talked about a Phoenix Ben trade. So we got some more Ben emails, and
I feel like we're doing as you're looking at that. I feel like we're at like a theme park when like no one like forgot to turn off the machines like in the middle of the night, and like we're just doing the show like dancing and like spinning around for like no one at all. And once in a while like some janitor walks by and is like, these guys are fucking still doing this. They're just like saying the same shit. That's how I feel. I feel like we're that.
It's almost like they left the Chuck E. Cheese band on at night.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah, that's who we are. That's what we're doing.
Well,
and
I
there
feel
also
like
was a report today that, as we were talking about all the things, that Tom Moore reported that they might just call the bluff. Daryl and
they expect him
and Rich
to be
Paul
in camp.
Expect him to be in camp. Daryl and Rich Paul just staring at each other from across the room, holding rulers up to their own dicks, and seeing which is bigger and who was going to blink first. God bless him.
I texted someone with the Sixers today, and I was like, the Ben Simmons rumors have reached the Keith Pompey, Tom Moore situation. We're really, all we need is whoever that guy Michael KB is now to have one more report, and we'll have the hat trick. From Marty, he says, Kia ora, which means hello from New Zealand. He said, I cannot wait until the day that Ben Simmons' chat isn't in relation to him at the Sixers, but with the current chat and looking back. I had a thought and a resulting question. Do you think that Ben Simmons' struggles come from him suffering from imposter syndrome? And given somewhat similar issues with Markelle and to a lesser extent Jaleel, what do you think the main issue is that caused this to get to such a degree with these players?
I don't know. I think that our listenership is a generally empathetic bunch. And so they look at people struggling, whether it's Ben or Markelle, and they try to just like really like feel for them and like and try to like think about what's going on in their brain that makes them this way or that. And I think that's admirable, but I have no idea. I don't think we can possibly know.
Well, so Markelle is the most puzzling one, I think, because it was happened out of nowhere. And I would also say that what happened with Okafor, only that everybody knew, except for like everybody knew Okafor wasn't going to be any good. Somehow I think we knew. It was the most depressing podcast we've ever done, and we've done some depressing podcasts.
Yeah, a lot of draft people liked him a lot, and it
was obvious. So then the Simmons one, I think, built. I think.
What if Jokic like couldn't shoot or pass, and didn't even really wasn't even smart enough to play defense? Let's draft him 3rd overall.
Oh,
you got him.
Yeah, that's Jokic.
That's Okafor.
Oh, Okafor, right? Yeah, not Jokic.
Just like post moves to no end with no counters and no jump shot and definitely no defense. That was rough. That was a rough pick. One of the worst moments of this podcast, of many terrible moments of this podcast.
That was
a laundry list of him, and Okafor is very, very near the top.
I actually, now that we're into this pod, I feel like we're really settling into the fucking annoyingness of the Ben Simmons situation. Speaking of which, we have a trade from Chuck that trades for a former process Sixer, and I will give it to you.
Here we go.
Right after.
Now? Oh, no.
Sorry.
A tease.
Mike, who is the official sportsbook of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast?
DraftKings Sportsbook.
DraftKings Sportsbook. We love DraftKings Sportsbook. Of course, our folks love the basketball betting, but football betting, that is what everybody fucking loves. And football is back. Of course, the Eagles win 32-6. They cover.
Hey.
I think they're 4-point underdogs to San Francisco. What's your pick? Sixers, Eagles +4. What's your pick?
The Phillies have disappointed me over and over again.
Shocking that they're 500 again.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
The Sixers are the Sixers, stuck in purgatory. Everyone forgot to turn the fucking teacups off. And I am back to being all in on the Eagles.
There you go.
Like a total sucker. I like Jalen Hurts, man. He's awesome. Devontae Smith is the man. They still have some juice on the defensive line. Come on, let's go.
So
go
Eagles
Birds.
+4 is what you're saying.
Eagles +4, 12-5.
Oh,
let's go.
God, you're fucking crazy. DraftKings
The
Sportsbook.
NFC East sucks. We got it. Jalen Hurts is just gonna take us there. QB1 all day.
He's gonna 2-yard pass him all the way to the NFC East.
That's fine. That's
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. If you're gonna bet the NFL, you bet DraftKings. To celebrate the return of the NFL season, bet $1 on any football game this weekend and get $200 in free bets instantly. You don't have to win. That's right. If you're a new customer, $200 in free bets instantly when you bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings, safe, secure, reliable. I started on DraftKings Blackjack again this week. Love DraftKings Blackjack. Deposit, withdrawal at your leisure. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code RTRS to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 2 game. That is promo code RTRS for your free $200 in free bets instantly this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or PA only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. All right. From Chuck, what do you guys think about a Simmons deal? Here's another team we have not heard mentioned, centered around the return of Jeremy Grant and Killian Hayes. I think Grant fits pretty well with Embiid on both sides of the floor and could be a small ball 5 with Embiid on the bench. Killian Hayes didn't have a great rookie year, but I think him and Maxey could be a sweet backcourt. Pistons seem like a team Morey could fleece and maybe get Sadiq Bey as well. Interesting.
I've thought about Jeremy a lot as the
still
Pistons
no guard
team. Tough to Killian Hayes. I think is going to be solid. I don't think he's going to be excellent. I think he's going to be a solid player for a long time, but he has a long way to go. So he's not starting on this team, and not the guy that you want to be like, hey, Joel, here's your point guard. We got him. And Jeremy is a tough fit in another Tobias, Jeremy, Embiid situation. Would love Jeremy as a, like, but the same thing as Ben, like, small ball 5. Like, we keep doing this. We're going to keep talking about it. You put Matisse, Tobias, and Jeremy on the court together. That is fine. That could work. Absolutely. But we got a big old Andre Drummond sitting around that Doc is going to use. So I don't love this trade.
Well,
I like it more as a 3-teamer. I also don't think that Ben is a great fit in Detroit because Cade is
all right.
They're not the same player, but another like tall person that needs the ball in their hands that you don't want playing off ball.
It's kind of funny though. It seems like a Detroit thing to do, to trade for the wrong guy, you know? So
could be. It's a cool. It'd be a very interesting team if Ben and Cade were playing together. That would be very dynamic and fun. But I don't think it gives Detroit what they want. I don't think it gives the Sixers what they need. So maybe it's perfect.
This email comes from Jonathan. And you know what? I haven't mentioned Stateside. We'll make this email brought to you by Stateside. Again, Black Label Bourbon right there, Stateside Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, which comes out on Thursday. Writes RickySanchez.com/newsletter, written by Zoe. You get the vodka, the Black Label Bourbon, or the vodka sodas. Get the party pack, statesidevodka.com.
I had one last night.
They're awesome.
Cucumber vodka.
They're
soda.
Awesome. They are really, really good. They really fucking knocked it out of the park. 95 calories, 3 carbs, 3 net carbs. Statesidevodka.com. All right. This came from Jonathan. Spike and Mike. I know Spike mentioned him on his list of players arguably preferable to Simmons in the playoffs, but what about a trade centered around Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram? Any team interested in trading for Simmons would be taking some level of gamble on his potential, which is why it doesn't make sense for most good teams to give the Sixers anything of value. The trade partner would have to be desperate team that still had quality assets and probably sucks at defense. The Pelicans are such a team living in fear of the ticking clock on a Zion departure and unable to stop other teams from scoring. Zion also doesn't seem to love playing with Ingram either. Let the Pelicans sell New Orleans fan base on running a fast break with the 2 most athletic bigs in the NBA this side of Giannis. What do they have to lose?
I think they like Ingram. I think that they think of him as a very integral player.
Really?
It felt very weird. Yeah, it felt very weird to me that they just seemed to want nothing to do with Lonzo. Mm-hmm. Ben and Lonzo's skill sets are rather similar.
You think?
As far as distributing and playing good defense. and not doing a ton of getting fouled and finishing. Lonzo's obviously turned himself into a very, very solid shooter, and they're different. But as
he's
far
almost
as
like a 3-and-D point guard or something, Lonzo is. He's weird.
Yeah, for sure. They might like Kyra Lewis as a guy that they want to give the ball to a little bit more. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, who has definitely showed out in spots. I don't know. I think in the world of Zion, because of how good he is, he's so good on the court that like where he hasn't even really figured out how to do anything yet. He's just good by like existing on the court because he's so fast and strong and unstoppable. Definitely defensively, it would help a lot for them. But if I'm engineering, and I don't think that is David Griffin their GM.
Yeah.
I don't think that he necessarily knows exactly what he's doing.
He's done a weird job.
Very weird job. But if I was manufacturing that, I would be like really just focus, as everyone is, like on surrounding him with shooting, like so that the floor could be spaced so he can throw his massive sort of refrigerator body into someone and he can quickly get to the basket.
If you were the Sixers, would you do it?
You'd have to, right? I'm not an Ingram guy. He got better than I thought he would, but not a great fit with Tobias again. But he'd be fine. It'd be fine. It'd be on the same level of like at least there's growth there, where you hope like he can improve as a catch and shoot guy and continue to like get fouled more and all that stuff. He's a good foul shooter. Like it'd be fine. It'll be a fine trade. I don't think that New Orleans is going to do it, but I think for the Sixers, based on what's out there, it'd be okay. You'd be like, okay, he's our big, him and Tobias is big penetrators. Plus you go like Maxey, Danny, Ingram, Tobias, Embiid. Like that's a good team and gives Maxey a lot of room to grow. But Ingram can also get his own shot and Tobias can get his own shot and you can dump into Embiid to get his own shot. So it's not so much responsibility on Tyrese.
Ingram's a weird player to watch because he's a pretty good creator. Like he's pretty good at it. He's just such a strange player. I don't even know who to compare him to. You know, like I can't tell what his role is on a really good team. I think that's my biggest question. I'd be interested to see him on a really good team.
I think he's a lower IQ Paul George, who's also worse at everything than Paul George, but younger and could develop into stuff. He's not as good of a shooter. He's not as good of a defender. He's not as good of a passer. Doesn't have the handle. But he's long, and even though he's skinny, he has that like skinny strength. But not one of my guys. And I have a lot of guys. He's not one of them.
Speaking of skinny strength, I got asked to be on this music podcast called Back in the Cool Day. I think it'll be on in a few weeks. Ricky Listener on the pod. It's like they talk about like early 2000s emo, but he asked me, he's a longtime Ricky listener, and he said, I don't understand what smoker's arms means. I laughed. I credited you with that. And I think Kyrie was the first one that you ever said had smoker's arms.
I think so. It was, and it was in the Boston year, especially because it looked like it. There was just like first of all, I saw Kyrie I went to a LA Sparks Seattle Storm game at Staples Center a couple days ago.
Kyrie was there.
And so was Victor Oladipo. He doesn't have smoker's arms anymore. I think he's gotten in better shape, but it's the used to have, I mean, honestly, I might have smoker's arms at this point, like used to have muscles and then sort of like let yourself go. So there's like a little bit of air in there. And it just feels like the way that the arms of someone who smokes cigarettes would look. I don't really know how to explain it in a way that makes sense. I don't think I did a good job, but I think it just works, at least in my mind, but I can see why other people would be confused by it.
It totally works. It's one of your best things. The best way I can describe it is skinny, fat arms. You know,
but they're not like of a guy that's like, the Big Show or something like that.
No.
Skinny. It has to be like a skinny person that once had muscles. Now it's not, and it's just sort of like there's a little bit of like a deflated balloon situation in there.
Coming up, the soft shit award in a bit. We will get to that. We're going to do a few leftover questions from the non-basketball Ricky, things we never got to. This came from I'm Not a Cool Guy Anymore on Reddit. He says, name your top 5 former Philly athlete villains. So who former Philly, Roland obviously would have to be in the top 5, right?
So like used to play on a
Correct.
Philadelphia team and then left and became a villain. Yeah, I mean Roland, JD Drew is an iconic one, although they never played here.
Never played here. Now Worth was one, but I think everybody deep down actually loves Worth.
Yeah. It's been enough time where it's like, I mean, he was on the best team, so I have nothing against Jason Worth. Jason Worth, like my platonic ideal of a baseball player, like tall, rangy, takes walks.
Loved free CDs when he was here. He would always ask us for free CDs. We gave him all the free CDs he wanted. Yeah,
makes me like him more.
Yeah.
I would say you could maybe make an argument for like a DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
Although like the villain, the way I interpret this question is probably better off like they were here and then they left and became a villain rather than
that's what
villain.
Yeah,
so DeMarco Murray is less so because he was on the Cowboys before he got here, so it's less easy. More of the case is there's more examples of like guys who were on arrival and then we brought them here and then they sucked, and so was bad. But I mean Jimmy is obviously one.
Oh yeah, Jimmy, and only here for such a brief time. I can't believe I can't think of these.
I mean, Ben will be one for sure.
Oh yeah,
one of the biggest ones ever. I would imagine if a trade happens.
And he's going to take shots after he leaves.
Absolutely,
like passive aggressive
so. And he is well within his right to take shots.
You think? Well, I mean, it's fine. Yeah. Who cares? But I don't think Philly did anything that.
No, and they didn't. And we've talked about this a bunch of times. But I think he's going to get booed very, very heavily, and then he can go. I'm better off playing in wherever the fuck. I'm trying to think of.
It seems like they are. Like the Philly, I keep coming back to the Phillies, and I think maybe it's because there's more free agency in like players leaving for money in baseball, but it just keeps coming back to Roland and Worth. Like I can't even Papelbon.
Schilling. Fuck
was
Schilling.
he a villain after? I mean, he became a dickhead, but I still think he'd get cheered at like a reunion or something.
Maybe.
All right. If you're listening and you have him, I'm sure I'll start thinking about him right afterwards.
Kevin Cobb? People are upset.
Oh, I don't think anybody hated Kevin Cobb. We're going to give out the Soft Shit Award in just a minute. Mike will give out the Soft Shit Award, which is obviously brought to you by Nature Pet Food. That's right, By Nature Pet Food. It's important that we eat By Nature in this house because there's no soft shit because my fucking dog still won't let anybody walk him. I got a lot of sympathetic emails about the dog story. Thank you. Obviously, I love my dog so much, but he still won't let anybody walk him. So him having not soft shit is important in case something happens in the house. You pick it up and you get rid of it. You see, if you feed your pet By Nature, which I do for Rebel, he's eating healthy. Your dog, your cat's eating healthy. Healthier ingredients, healthier way of cooking it, firmer poops. Come on. We've all had the poop bag. You're walking your dog. You don't want to be scraping it out of the grass. How is it better ingredients? Come on. Premium proteins, super ingredients, super probiotics, spinach, blueberries, ginger, coconut oil, all in there. And they cook it slow and low. Super fusion. They cook it slow so it stays more nutrient rich. So your pet gets more nutrients. Your pet's more healthy. Look, By Nature costs a little bit more than, the cheap pet food that you're getting, but it is better for your dog, better for your cat. Healthier ingredients, healthier way of cooking it. Never had a recall. Family owned, family operated, the company that owns By Nature. This is what you have to feed your pet, dog or cat. Take it from me. Just try it. Use promo code 20RTRS at Chewy or Amazon. 20 RTRS at Chewy or Amazon, you're going to get 20% off your first By Nature order. And then send us a picture. Your dog, your cat goes into the good boy or good girl club. By Nature Pet Foods, a sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez, Providence Animal Center, Bark in the Park Run team. We've raised almost $7,000. The event is on October 23rd. If you join our team and raise at least $75, you get the cool Rebel shirt with all the processed pups and Good Boy and Good Girl Club members on the back. Thanks to By Nature for helping pay for it, along with Big Barker. By Nature, code 20RTRS. All right, Mike, the Soft Shit Award.
I thought about giving it to the Phillies because they literally blew the game as we were talking about them disappointing us. Another blown save, a franchise record. Very exciting. But we should know by now that this is who they are, so I won't give it to them. And instead, I'm going to give it to everyone who did not enjoy Keith Pompey's very respectful 9/11 memorial moments. And I thought that they were great, and we like them very much. And he did a great job, and I hope he does it every year. And never forget, please.
What if those alarms go off every day for him?
Every day
for 20 years.
Yeah. 365 days a year, he's got 16 straight alarms. Just knocking them out.
I'm reminded of this because this was a question we did last pod, the favorite movie in a genre you don't like. And I asked if animated movies were a genre. That really upset our artist, Abby. Love Abby at Dig Rupert on Twitter or Instagram. She'll do commissions for you. She does all of our drawings and stuff. She said animated is not a genre. It is a medium. And while a lot of animated movies do share similarities, it is not a genre, and it really makes her mad. So I'm sorry, Abby. Big fan of Abby. Big fan of Leo, her partner. I'm sorry, Abby. This came from Steve Chew 7 on Reddit. Which Sixers player's first name would you use to name your pet? I already have this answer because I tried to do it. Do you have one?
We got a new front door put in, so there's all these friggin' flies and shit.
Sounds like a bad door, bro.
Well, no, while the door was getting put in, flies came in.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Thank you. The door works to prevent shit. But when it wasn't on, it didn't work.
Yeah, okay.
Matisse is a good name. Korkmaz is a good name. I think it's weird. I like the idea of naming your pet after an athlete or a person you like, but then also it's weird in a way because you're like scolding them and like potty training. Like, are you gonna am I gonna potty train Korkmaz? Like, that's a bizarre thing. B-Ball Paul is a good name for a pet. The answer is probably like Matisse or Shake.
Shake would be a great name.
But I think it also is tough.
I at one point wanted to name Rebel Nerlens, and Val did not. He looks like a Nerlens. Anybody who's listening right now, Google Rebel, look him up. He looks like a Nerlens. This comes from Anboo Dropout on Reddit. What is your favorite book you've ever read?
My favorite book I've ever read.
Yeah, I have two answers. I mean, I have an answer from when I was younger and then an answer for today. I have two answers.
I feel like they're so like of an era of my life that it changes based on year, so it's very recency biased. I think I touched on. I read this book by Julia Phillips called "Disappearing Earth" that I really liked a lot. I really liked "We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves" by Karen Fowler. I'm just looking at these books on the shelf. I really liked when I was in college. I read the Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz that I liked a lot. Yeah, that's plenty.
So when I was a kid, I loved The Phantom
and A
Thread.
Sixer's Odyssey by David Reuter. How about that?
There you go.
How about that?
When I was a kid, Phantom Tollbooth was my favorite book, and I think it ages particularly well, and you can read it as an adult, even though it is a child's book. Phantom Tollbooth, wonderful, wonderful book. As an adult, I have my favorite few authors. I don't do a lot of reading, but I do love Fargo Rock City by Chuck Klosterman. It is a great, 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 great book. If you like music, if you like Chuck, Fargo Rock City. And I love Love is a Mixtape, which is a incredibly sad book and a true story. Rob Sheffield, the music writer, tells the story of him and his wife who passed away, but it is broken up into mixtapes that they made each other. And it is as a mixtape connoisseur, and also a person who likes sad things. It is a sad love story. Love is a Mixtape is a very good book.
Chuck Klosterman, I believe, Kill a Cow Bully. Chuck Klosterman is who you're talking about, right? Who told him to? Did you tell him to die?
Well, he said the podcast is not called "Does Music Exist?" It's called "Music Exists." Yeah. What did he kill a cow?
Yeah, that's right. He thought he killed a cow. That's right.
I mean, he was on the pod with us for 100 minutes, and finally he had enough when we asked if music exists. He didn't think it was funny. From the Killer Bees on Reddit, if you could be elite in one skill, what would it be and why? I would love to be an elite guitar player. I never will be. I've hit a peak, and I'm never going to get any better at it. But I would love to be elite at playing guitar.
I would like to be an elite shooter. I'm not. I'm not good. CJ is now saying that everybody is saying T.O. in the chat.
People still love T.O. People still love T.O. Always love T.O.
T.O. And also,
he's not a villain.
People got mad at Dallas before or after?
After.
It was after. Okay,
it was San Francisco before.
That's a good answer.
Well, but I think in the Donovan versus T.O. thing, unfortunately and unfairly, because T.O. destroyed that fucking team. And people love T.O. I understand he was a great player, but he doesn't get nearly the amount of criticism for what he did that he should get. He destroyed that team. And the reason I don't think he was a villain is because I think people here always loved him. Not even secretly.
They just had so many bad receivers for so long. And then he comes and plays so well. And then it was like such a short amount of time for that to exist.
Yeah. Also, would love to be elite at whacking off. The phrase whacking off, I just thought would be hilarious right there. From Slam Hinky on Twitter, when you load the dishwasher, utensils, head up or head down?
So I am actually elite at loading a dishwasher. We didn't have a dishwasher for 6 or 7 years.
Oh man, that is tough.
So I was the dishwasher and still am, but I am, because I was a PA, like office PAs, you get good at fitting it all in there, and I am great and I'm excellent. And to the point that when we dog sat for John and Colleen and I got engaged, they had to ask us, like, who did that? Who loaded our dishwasher? Because this is the best thing that they've ever seen. And I'm really good at it.
So and utensils head up or head down?
Utensils head up for sure. For sure.
Okay.
And spaced out in like a proper way so they can get clean, so they're not getting like blocked by something else. It's an art form. I'll do a TED talk. I
love my wife so much. She doesn't clean the fucking dishes enough before she puts them in the dishwasher.
You got to rinse them. You
have to.
Dishes 101. You can't just shove them in there.
Well, and the food's going to get caught in the drain, and then I got to call the plumber, and it's $200 every time. From Milkman406 on Reddit, what is each of your favorite albums and TV seasons of 2021? I know my favorite album. I barely watch any TV anymore. I don't have an answer for that. But my favorite album is Wild Pink's A Billion Little Lights. It's a great album. John Ross, the singer, came on Carl Landry Record Club very early in its existence. But I love Wild Pink, and I love that record. If they're on tour now, if you can see them, go see them. I don't have a TV show. What do you got?
I think the only album from this year that I've listened to has been Drake's album, and it was okay. This year TV show, I'm only a couple. I still have more episodes, but Reservation Dogs on FX is really interesting and a funny scenery for a comedy that you would not really see at a Native American reservation. And so I've been enjoying that. Bachelor in Paradise has been really good this year. So that's true. And I've liked the season of Real Housewives of New York, even though people haven't liked it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a delightful. I love seeing those fucking lunatics be around each other. I love them. I love them all. Even when Ramon is being anti-Semitic, I don't care. I love it.
Let's do two more. From Morgana, Phillies fan 181 on Twitter. What was the theme of your bar mitzvahs? I once went to a bar mitzvah where the legendary hip hop Little G made an appearance.
Sure.
The early 2000s were a wild time.
Mine was predictably basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Each table was a different player, famous at the time. But I didn't want to be like everybody else and sit at the Iverson table. So I feel like I told this story in the pod before, but I sat at the Tracy McGrady table.
Okay.
Because he's the man, and that was cool, and he was awesome.
I was not bar mitzvahed. I didn't go to Hebrew school. I've been a religionless person, though the older I get, the more I wish I wasn't. But I've only been to 2 bar mitzvahs. My cousin Alec, who had his at Citizens Bank.
You've only been to 2 bar mitzvahs?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because you went to Episcopal, right?
Yeah, but there were tons of Jewish kids there.
There were?
Yeah. More Jewish kids than Episcopalian kids, I'll tell you that.
I would say I've been to upward of 100 bar mitzvahs.
And how about this? I was never at a bar mitzvah as a kid.
That's wild.
My cousin Alec. So one bar mitzvah, my cousin Alec had it at Citizens Bank Park. It was just like sports theme. Mike, what are you laughing at?
You had a bar mitzvah at Citizens Bank Park?
Yeah.
That's the most rich kid thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh no, it was cool. Like there weren't tons of people there. It was like you can have it. You can rent out like the whatever that club level is. You can like rent it out. It's like the same as the most honestly. And then my bat mitzvah, my cousin Avery, same family. But I got hired once to do the intros at a bar mitzvah. And that was the wildest thing I've ever seen. So it was Flyers themed, and it was at a country club in Radnor, which, if you want to talk, I looked at this thing. It's like a fucking wedding. I mean, this thing must have cost $30,000 or $40,000. It was. Did you see like a lot of things like that? Like I'd never been to them, so I hadn't seen. It was the first one I was ever at. It was crazy.
I definitely went to a couple like gaudy bar mitzvahs, but not a ton. Most of them were just at the synagogue. But definitely people have go all out for it, for sure.
Wild. And final one from Ben Owens 22 on Twitter. What is your favorite Tarantino movie?
Well, it's definitely not the last one. John Gonzalez fucking looms it over my goddamn head all the time. That one sucked.
Oh, you didn't like it? I thought it was good.
No, it blew.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked Inglourious Basterds. I like Pulp Fiction. I like Reservoir Dogs. I don't know that I love any of them. I like most of them, but I really did not like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Really? I thought it was. I like anything with Brad Pitt. I liked watching Brad Pitt. So.
Yeah, he's good.
My favorite one, it depends on who you talk to, whether they count it, is True Romance, but he didn't direct it. He only wrote it. Tony Scott directed it, but that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I actually think it's better than the ones he directs because it's not so in love with the dialogue that the movie just goes on and on and on. But I would say of the ones that he directed as well, I would say Inglourious Basterds is the one that I like the best.
And the first Kill Bill is quite good.
Yeah, the Kill Bills are fun to watch. They're wild. All right. Well, maybe the next pod, Ben Simmons will get traded. Who knows?
Could be.
Yeah, maybe.
Or there's an Evan Turner rumor We're gonna keep going through the
draft.
Going through the draft.
Boogie Cousins.
I still have the my questions for Michael Bivens on my sheet.
Should I
take notes?
Reach out and try that again?
I can't imagine. We've been through so much.
Email them. When was the last email? It was in March.
I have them. I have them right here. Still have them. Just leering at me. So
I'm gonna try this again.
I don't think my questions are very good. I don't have anything really interesting to ask him. Because he reached out to us, right? His manager.
He did, and then when it didn't work, and he like called me or something, and it didn't work. They were like, "All right, when's the next one?" We did the next one. It just didn't show up again.
Great, Bivens. You're welcome anytime. We're down to Bivens.
Yeah, Back to Bivens. That's the name of our new album, Back to Bivens.
Oh,
all right,
boy.
We'll talk to you this weekend. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.